Okay, so I want to start off saying that I love this place. I've been here before, and it's really like home vibe. I feel like I'm in my house. My name is Federica. I feel like when we introduce ourselves, sometimes you say like your profession, you know, what you do for work. You say like, I am this. I believe that, I don't believe I am something. I believe that I do something. Because that can change at any time. I am is like a permanent state.
Oh, okay.
And we are changing all the time. So what I do is yoga as like a life. Not necessarily teaching and studying. I mean, that one, yes, as well, but it's just my life revolves around that. And more than like a practice, it's more like a way of living, literally, with foods, with the way I learn about myself and other people, and then my relationship with humans, animals, nature, the cosmos, everything. And I do sing occasionally behind the scenes, sometimes in front of people, but not always. I dance. I recently started again painting when I was on holiday, and I love it. Like, I painted a lot, which is something new for me because I draw with pencils. Painting is something completely new. And then, poetry, which is basically my first ever love. I started reading books at 5 years old, and I never stopped. So,
Well, thank you for coming and sharing.
Thank you for having me.
Federica was here when I had the idea to like do something in here, because we was in a caddy's thing, and I was like, they're not charging. We can do poetry in here.
We can do free stuff.
And then I was like, yeah, because you was there with me. I was like, you have this idea. You gave me this idea. So yeah, and now you're here. So.
And thank you for your beautiful poems, insights, sharing stuff. That was beautiful.
Cool.
Well, my style, I don't know what style I have, but in terms of themes, is about the self, travels, society, love, and nature, spirituality, a bit of everything really. But I do have kind of like a style, I think. This one that I'm gonna read, I never performed it live. I performed one with the same title, but it was a different poem. Now I changed it completely, and I think it will keep changing. But the first line is the same as the poem that I originally wrote. And I wrote this as a response to a friend of mine who plays the harp. So she wanted some lines for her music. I wrote this, and I didn't perform it. Like, I shared it and then I deleted it. So it's just there for now, fresh. And the title is the same as the original one, Big City Life. And it talks about the contrast, my own like loving big city life, but at the same time being a hippie and wanted to live in nature with the sheep, basically. So I'm like, what do I do? Okay, I live in a big city and I'm grateful. I look up to the sky and see both trees and skyscrapers. I rise but also fall, plentiful and surrounded by so many energies and opportunities, but sensory overload sometimes is inevitable. I live in a big city and I see concrete instead of waterfalls. All of my shoes are becoming uncomfortable. That's why I'm wearing these. People like to follow something or someone they don't even know. Flow of a crowd instead of a river flow. A bit of both worlds, at least in London there's a lot of greenery. Community, art, but also capitalism and alienation. If you're a woman and you go out until late night, bring a sword with you. A really sharp katana. Underground or downward spiral is like descending in the underworld, and the heat, especially in summer, becomes unbearable. In winter it's cloudy, in summer too, and it rains and it snows. I live in a big city and I'm grateful because it is a portal for the whole world. So much history, so many cultures, languages and nations in one city, although not enough vital space to contain us all. Different but similar in so many ways. We are one, but we should say no to control. Some rules are essentials to avoid chaos, only if they are fair and they aim to real improvement and healthy growth. I thrive here, but I also know that I live in a big city, but there is a whole world to explore. I live in a big city and I'm grateful. If we fall in love, I want to race with you, to build, expand and change together, even when things are not perfectly smooth. You'd help me soften up and I help you ground and stay rooted. Our love is unconditional, inspirational and unbreakable. It's the safest place and the biggest adventure. Communication is essential, but we'd understand each other without needing to say anything at all. We live in a big city and we are grateful, but we both want to spend our lives in nature, growing our own fruits and vegetables, thriving now nearby beautiful beaches and waterfalls, colorful sceneries around, able to finally walk barefoot.
Who's that other person in the end? Is that someone or is it? Okay,
know.
it's a person. Sorry. Huh?
I already know.
Oh. Okay, mysterious man.
He's got intuition. Maybe he's the witch in the cover. He's the witch.
No, but there was a part of it. There was a part of it that triggered me to feeling like I want to write something completely different.
That part.
There was a bit that I don't know which part.
Let me see.
I tried to hold it, but then you took me.
It's not the part when it becomes a we instead of I.
There's a part where it's like transform something. There was 3 words.
Transform.
And it made me feel of conceiving and conception and then becoming. It reminded me
Different
of
but similar when I speak about collective. No.
Can I skim through it and find it? Sorry.
Don't look at the pictures though, because I got some embarrassing stuff.
Wait, where's the beginning? Where's the beginning?
There's only until one photo, yeah? The one you're looking at.
One slide. One
Do
direction.
the zooming in and zooming out and, yeah, the cropping and all sorts, yeah? But don't move to the next one.
I'm kind of curious because obviously English is not your first language. Like, how easy do you find it to write poetry?
I'm not gonna lie, for me it's easier to write in English than in Italian.
Really?
I never written poems in Italian and I tried, but I don't know, I feel like I think in English anyways.
Oh, really?
So,
you think in English as well?
I do, yeah.
Wow.
Most times I do. Sometimes, yeah. I think in English. I dream in English now.
Okay, I have so many questions.
Coming on already, you need to write this down. Remember, these are things like key things that you don't need to write down. What you're saying, because you did it, you've done it.
All right, it's mine now.
Oh, wait. No, I found the line. Oh, no, wait.
You found it?
To build.
You guys there's just procrastinating over up there like jotting them
To build and expand.
To build, to expand.
Oh, so it is when it transforms and it becomes
to
a
build,
we instead
to
of I.
expand and change together. Okay. To build a relationship, to expand. And then, to expand and then change together.
Yeah.
To me, that was like just like being together. Two becomes one, and then you do the thing, and then there's a baby, and then you're like, together. I don't know. I'm weird.
Where is the baby?
I'm weird. Okay. I know
There is no baby in the
being
poem.
one with nature, but then you're being one with someone.
That's her interpretation.
Anyway.
There are babies in her head. Be careful,
Just
huh?
imagine how many movies she kills. Like, it's like telling me the whole story.
That's why counselling does not work. Self-talk does not work for me.
Finger.
Next person.
Dissecting.
This is so cool.
Too much of that
But yeah, to
advertising
reply
shit.
to your answer, it's easier for me to write in English. And I was having a conversation with Casey, you know Casey from Poets Palace?
Yeah.
Because he put together an
The
event
Spanish
in
one.
Spanish, but I was in Italy, so I didn't take part of that. And I haven't written in Spanish apart from like a short poem. But I was like, that is actually something that would be challenging for me because I do speak Spanish, but writing poems in that language, for me, it's something like weird in a way.
You know, I mentioned something similar with all three of you, yeah? But like, I can see like through your words. And again, I really appreciate it. Like, it's nice to meet you.
Thank you. I guess it's because, like, as we said before, this is the part of us that society tells us not to be. So through our art, it's like we are liberating ourselves. We're showing ourselves for what we really are, like beyond the way we appear. It's like what's in our heads.
Have you listened to Spanish poetries? Maybe.
I listen to Spanish music, but
Maybe, like there's spaces for like South Asian peoples, there's spaces for different cultures coming together and doing poetry. Maybe there's something out there.
but
that is
maybe
a
that's the thing for
Spanish-speaking
me,
poetry
as we were
things,
talking
that's
about
something you
earlier.
can
I don't
challenge.
want to put myself in like a category. Like I'm Italian, I need to be with Italian. Example, yeah. Maybe the reason why I write in English is because I wanna deliver to as many people as possible.
Universal.
So obviously, yeah, I think almost everyone in the world, in theory, understands English at least. Whereas if I do poetry in Italian or Spanish or French, some people will understand, but not everybody. So that's something that I want to do in the future, but it comes after. So I start in English and then I go towards other languages.
I really like the imagery in that piece and the way that you were contrasting the city with the nature, and a lot of the imagery is like I can imagine, like I can see it, like the buildings, the skyscrapers, and I love the line about underground and going into an underworld or something. That was spiraling. That was like really vivid, and you sort of really capture the essence of city life and what that feels like. And yeah, I really
You're gonna say
enjoyed
something,
it.
Jamal? I can hear it from
There are
here.
people that are
No,
kind of boiling
I
in there.
Because the point was obviously the contrast between the city life and obviously living within nature. There was a part in the poem where we said about obviously you coming together with someone and that person kind of softening you up and then you keeping that person grounded. Is it because that you live in the city life and it's quite hard and it's quite dangerous that a lot of times you're not necessarily in your feminine and sometimes you have to have a more masculine approach to being able to survive in the city, where if you was in nature it will be more relaxed and more grounded?
You know what? That is partly true, but I think I've been in my masculine most of my life, even when I was a child, even when I was younger, because until 6 years old, I was an only child, and then I got two brothers. So from only playing with dolls, I started to play with like boys' toys. And when I was in school as well, I had a lot of like boys' friends, and in general, the way I was raised, like I always studied a lot. I was raised in a very like analytical way, kind of. I don't know how to describe it. I think like apart from London, in general, I spent most of my life in masculine energy, and I realized that, yeah, obviously you need to balance the two, like in a healthy way, you know, because otherwise it's just thinking. Yeah. It's not only London, that's what I wanted to say. It's just like I've been like this my whole life, and now I'm I'm changing and improving and embracing all parts of being a human.
So what was your settings when you were growing up? Was it country or was it city life?
It was both, because I live in a city that is not as big as London, but it's a metropolitan city, and it's full of tourists, and it's full of people of all kinds, people who work in offices, people who work the land, so it's just, yeah. It's a city with a volcano, with a mountain, and with the sea. So there is like everything. That's why I'm also a person full of contrasts myself. I'm just a mess, an organized mess.
What city is it?
Catania is the name.
Oh, that's certainly a
How
Sicily.
does
It's alright.
C-
I've recorded
C-A-D-A
what she just said,
and-
okay?
Oh, wait, it is being recorded.
Cadania.
No, I've been there for a holiday one time.
So what part of,
Catalonia.
No, that's Spain.
what part of Italy?
It's Sicily, south.
Alright.
So it's even like some people don't even think it's part of the country because there's like it's
Sicily's
another
also-
country. Which is I can see that because last time I went I was like, yeah, we are just a whole other country. It's just just different.
Sicilians are kind of proud of being Sicilian.
Exactly.
Like it's the same with like Madeirans and Portugal. Or
Yeah.
Like, you know, Hong Kong and China, mainland China. Like,
It's because I think islands, and especially smaller islands, they're more independent than like countries and like big islands, if that makes sense.
They're proud of, they're proud of their, their culture and that, you know what I'm saying? Like, ain't no one want to give that up, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And also what people don't realize is that still we are a mix of cultures because we are in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea, and in the past we've been taken over by so many people because it was convenient for like trading and for the land, because the land is fertile, like you can work the land and grow things.
I think because of colonisers, we're all mixed
Yeah,
everywhere,
Yeah.
in every piece of land.
yeah, absolutely agree.
Can I just say, I like how your poem did what you spoke about earlier about how you was honouring two spaces, and I feel like you're doing the same. And when you came to the we bit instead of I, felt like, just my interpretation of what I heard was that you come as nature. The way I look at you, you look like earth. And yeah, so, and then the city, or whether it's a man or whatever, but the city is that join, like the we is you, nature, and who you are, and like how you're kind of fitting in and how you're going to grow together, and honouring like both of those spaces and putting them together. That's how I interpret it. I think it's really beautiful.
Like she's grown into both masculine and feminine rather than just masculine.
Yeah.
I like that way of seeing it. I haven't thought about that. I love your interpretation.
I try not to
Yeah.
like, a lot of my poetry doesn't tend to, like, I like to write about like love and stuff, and I'll make it sound like I'm talking about a man, but more time I'm not talking about a man at all. It might be my relationship with smoking weed.
So you're Maxwell.
Hey.
I mean, or like something like that, as opposed to like, like, yeah, that's what I meant. That's what I got from this.
You embody love.
Yeah, I think what I
That's
truly
why-
wanted to
that's
say
why I
is
think
a bit
I
of
did
everything.
that.
Is a relationship with a person, relationship with nature, and relationship with two sides of
Yeah,
one
that's,
person.
do you feel, is there any like your Sicilian background like influence your writing in a way, like from style? Or
I think so, because we're very honest people. Like, we don't talk behind your back. Like, we tell you everything, even
Very
if it's
direct.
offensive. Like,
Yeah.
like, it's just, there's just not talking behind the back, ever. And we are very, like, I don't want to say angry, but kind of like,
Passion, yeah.
yeah. But yeah, it's London that inspired the poem anyways, mostly. But I feel like every city, even smaller cities, are still cities. There is concrete anyways. There is that lifestyle that you have to work in any kind of way to like live or survive. Whereas if you like live in a village or in nature, you work in another way. Like you can build your own house, you can grow your own things, you can, I don't know, make jewels out of copper and stuff, and you sell it in the market. It's a completely different style. So yeah,
It's like the pace of time goes different as well.
It
Is
does.
that what you aspire for? Like, is that your dream sort of space to be in? Somewhere that's like.
I'm trying to find out, because as a creatives, like, I think some of us really thrive in the city. But then, as I said in the poem, it comes that time where you feel overwhelmed, when you feel like going in the underground is a nightmare because of all of those sounds and voices and people like playing the music out loud instead of wearing freaking headphones at night. Sometimes I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? This is too much.
Do you know that place is you? You are that place. That's how powerful we are. we always think that's what I'm trying to say, like about the system.
Yeah.
We are such powerful human beings, and we can exuberate as artistic beings. We can exuberate so much creativity, so much energy and joy and love, that if we then embody it and become congruent, and I know this because I'm a therapist, and I've worked in mental health, and I know incongruency. I know how I've studied this, so it's then changed my mindset and made me feel like, okay, that environment is in me, and I can change the physical and natural environment
From
around me
inside.
because it's that powerful.
Yeah.
I'm not really at that stage yet. It's a bit like X-Men shit, and it's a bit like we cannot do, like you can't just do it by yourself,
It's so funny.
and you can't do it all the time,
Yeah.
but it's possible.
But I do agree. I think you said it in your poem earlier. Like I would define myself as an organized mess. That's why, like the city and nature. Like I'm an organized mess.
Yeah, like
So
everything.
that's why I'm like duality,
Everything I
city
do in my
and
work is
nature.
very organized, but like at home, there's like things.
Flying.
Like everyone's got that chair where like like it's not laundry yet. It's not. It's one more wearing.
Oh no!
Bullshit stuff in
Yeah,
there.
the
You
drawer.
can't pull it out ever.
Random shit.
It's just, oh, I don't know what that is. Just in the drawer. Close it. Done.
Go for it.
Can I just add? I'm just kind of reflecting on some of that last point. I think in that sense, because I think the question was asked about, like, you know, what space do you want to be in? And then Hina was sharing the thoughts she shared, and what had come into my mind just before Hina was talking was about there's that sense of wanting spaciousness, and I think this resonates a bit with a bit possibly what Hina was saying about how can you find the spaciousness whether you're in the city or in nature? Because I think that often and don't get me wrong, I love being by water and nature, and I think there's a natural spaciousness about that can just make us feel, whew. But like when you are in the city and having to be on the underground, if your job takes you that way or whatever your life takes you, how do you find that spaciousness? And I think it's almost that I'm hearing that there's a desire for spaciousness where you are. And so I'm not suggesting this is your formula, but I'm going to just use this example from my life to hopefully show that. I remember when I had said I would never work in the city because I didn't want to do the underground routes. And I remember finding myself being in that, like, I knew exactly where to stand to get onto the tube, to make sure that I got out at the right exit as soon as I got off and stuff, right? And so I decided that there were two things I did. I said to my work, I need to come in earlier. It didn't take away all of it, but just that half hour earlier meant there was a few less people, and I was able to resist a bit having to force myself on the train and all of that kind of stuff. So, like, how to find that spaciousness, how to work with the city that you do love and that does bring out parts of you and that speaks to you, but how can you find that spaciousness within the stuff that you don't like? Do you know what I mean? Whether that is specifically changing things or whether it is about understanding who you are and what you bring and allowing you, even in the middle of the annoying people that I had here listening to the music without headphones, you know what I mean? How do you find your space? You know?
Okay.
Yeah, just that sense of, okay, spaciousness. Because again, it's that thing of not having to choose, maybe, you know, but like, where can I find my spaciousness wherever I am?
You know what's interesting?
So that's a question to me.
So it's just
In general.
just a reflection. Do you know what
Okay.
I mean? Like, you know, if you want to respond, you can. But I was just saying that sense of that's what I was kind of hearing some of that. How do I find that spaciousness? Because I want spaciousness.
Yeah.
I want to be expansive, and you love the city. You have a love for nature, and is that just that possibility of finding that spaciousness wherever you are.
What you said is beautiful because I resonate with everything. And for example, what I do in terms of the trains, I don't care. Like I used to be one of those people, like I'm gonna get in even if it's super crowded. Now I'm like, once I waited, I think 5 trains or 6 until it was almost empty because I was like, I'm not gonna get in there. It's too crowded. It's summer. Everybody's sweaty and smelly.
You don't
I'm
have
not.
to follow.
I'm not going
You
there.
don't have to follow the motion of.
Exactly. Like, and also when people are pushing, I'm like, you don't have to push. There is space. Don't freaking touch me. You know. The way I kind of like escaped the spaces that don't like is that I space out. So I have my headphones. I have my book. I even meditate sometimes, but even I do need some like sort of my ears. But sometimes I forgot my headphones at home. So I'm like, what do I do? And I focus on other things. I just start people watching. If somebody has tattoos, I don't know, like I start to analyze, or I meditate, or I just close my eyes and kind of like do a micro nap, or I just space out when I don't like something and I have to be there. I space out. I just go to another world.
Do you want to go to the second poem?
Another one, yeah. I'm gonna read another one from my phone because I don't think this is written.
About like 15 minutes.
Okay. This one is again like kind of like on the same. Let me see if I find it. On the same wave of duality, like between being a free spirit and adventurous person and like hopeless romantic to the bone. So yeah, it's again, it speaks about space. It speaks about not wanting to like conform to something or to some unwritten rules that tell you like who to be or how to be. And hope you guys like it. It's called What If, and I performed it I think only once. What if you didn't want to choose only one thing you would like to do in life? What if one of your goals was to be a wife and a mother, and you also wanted to do it all, experience it all, know as many things as you possibly could, discover the truth? Maybe you would be a dark superhero like Batman or Catwoman. What if you never wanted to conform, to follow restricting norms, never felt like fitting in, to teach your children freedom and how to dive in the depths of life and stare at its rare perils? What if you belonged everywhere and nowhere at the same time? What if time and space were perceived and used in a different way we do? What if many things you see are a déjà vu and already exist in a parallel universe? What if you like every single way of expressing through art what's going on in your mind, in your heart and soul? What if you wanted to learn as many languages as possible, sometimes misunderstood, have many different skills and explore as much as you should? What if you wanted to feel deeply and utterly, but also create something incredible with your logical thinking? What if you always felt this sense of duality between nature and technology, and attachment and commitment, living and staying, doing and observing? What if duality actually doesn't exist, and the only way to find balance within and without is by embracing unity and integration? Now I'll tell you that by swapping what if with even if, everything you can think of becomes possible. You can create your own reality and there is no division between man and woman. Well, I believe that you would be just human. Finished.
Sounds like you're searching for freedom.
Always. Yeah, I think that's the style. That's the style. It's just space. I love people, but I guess like when another thing about not only living in a big city, but it's just even when I was back home, always having to share your space with your family. It's just like I feel like maybe I would thrive in a city if I have my own space, if I live in my own place. So if I feel like one day I'm gonna use the living room as dance floor, there is nobody there. Like nobody's gonna come and they need to cook and I'm gonna smell some food that I don't like. Nobody's gonna use the bathroom at the same time as me. Unless it's just like somebody I really feel comfortable with, so that we don't even have to discuss about things because we know each other, so it's cool. But when you live with strangers, when people that are not even your friends, that's like, I feel like I don't have space in my own home. So it starts from mostly a space, like a home space. And then obviously it's just space in general. Like space just to be yourself. Because I feel like, as she was saying, Zahara, she was saying like, she was doing this parallel between punk concert and going to the mosque. It's just this thing of like, you have to conform in order to like, you know, either like whatever you do in life or wherever you are, we are programmed like we we are not sheep. We are humans. We have free will. Like, you don't have to be like other people to thrive amongst like everything. You can be your own individual and you can embrace the differences because you learn from each other. Like, we are one, but we are also different.
So your
And
space will be your original.
this is a good thing because we are one, but we are different. So I don't want to influence you, and you shouldn't want to influence me. It's just an exchange. So that's my belief. Thanks, guys.
There's like a lot of emphasis on like the human experience and the universal, and the idea that we shouldn't be divided by like our differences. Even the last line about, you know, man, woman, human, like that's the essence. Like, you're trying to capture that inner essence that we all have, that inner consciousness that makes us all the same, but we're just different, like on the outside kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I felt from your piece.
Thank you, guys.
For me, you kind of changed that idea of what if. Like, what if this guy always says, what if this, what if that, what if that happened, Hina? What if this happened, Hina? Yeah? What if this happened?
Oh, yeah.
What if?
You're
Why
giving
did you
him
go out
headache,
and-
look.
Like, you know, when your mum is saying, what if that, it didn't happen though, did it? I was safe. I've come back from America, I'm safe, all right, I didn't get shot. So what if was a past thing for me? And you transformed it into a future thing of a two words that can be empowering. Like, what if I make that step and I become a success? What if? So you've changed the words, and then in the middle-ish towards the end, I was kind of thinking, what if you use the word imagine? Or imagine if it wasn't like those two words.
It was
like,
imagine.
could
Yeah,
be-
it could be anything.
That's the power of words, isn't it? And
Yeah.
perception, and the way that you can instill meaning in just those two words. So
Yeah,
thanks
that's-
for that. I hated what if, but now I can think of it as but what if next time?
What if?
You know,
I do
so
use
thanks.
it in a positive light as well.
Yeah.
She just tends to, you know,
Yeah, the title of the
selectively-
poem is What If?
That's what it is.
Just what if?
I have to humour her, you know?
Sorry, babes. It also made me think of dual diagnosis, because in mental health, a dual diagnosis is someone who's having mental illness and is having drugs and alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
So that was an interesting thing anyway, but I'm tangential, so let's not go there.
Okay.
How did it make you think of that?
Because of duality.
Oh, the
How
Duality.
do you say it?
Duality?
Duality.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
That's me. This is me breaking out at not and non-conforming. That's why I'm weird and wacky and refreshing.
We love it.
Everyone is a bit,
Please keep being you.
Not everyone. You guys are.
But yeah, basically I wanted to say, for example, you can be a mother and a wife, but a free spirit as well, if that makes
Not
sense.
everyone's gonna like it.
And you can be a free spirit and wanting to get married. Like, getting married doesn't mean that you give up your freedom, if that makes sense. Because people think like the marriage is a cage, but it's not that. Like,
It depends who you get married to.
exactly, thank you.
This is a woman's perspective.
Hey, darling.
Hey.
I understand.
Division, there is
So you
some
get
division
it.
going on.
I hear you.
We don't like
I'm
that.
speaking as a married
It
person. That's all.
depends. It depends.
It feels touched. Uh-oh.
I'm just happy y'all embracing each other as much, you know what I'm saying?
Woman.
No.
You wouldn't talk like that otherwise. Do you feel trapped?
No, darling, he's free.
He's not replying.
He's naughty.
Please be honest.
I don't feel trapped, I feel clapped, you know what I'm saying?
You know what, yeah? I don't want to make this about me, so...
There are a lot of cameras here, by the way. Watch what you say on camera.
There's so many important factors like with marriage and shit, like, you know what I'm saying? Like there is that, what you're saying, you know, the aspect where you shouldn't have to change yourself. There's compromise.
Compromise
there's
becoming
all
a
sorts of
way,
stuff.
yeah.
It really all depends on, like, you know, what the individuals want to aspire to. You understand? Like where they want to be. you know, what they're looking for in this marriage and stuff like that. Whether it's stability or, you see what I'm saying, like collaboration or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just really, it's down to the two who are, you know, are trying to be one. You know what I'm saying?
It's a business partnership.
You guys are cracking me up today.
As well, you know, like there's all of these things you have to consider. It's just the way it is, you know, like that's just the way the system is.
But it seems like the two different like spheres that you're comparing is like the traditional with the progressive almost. And sort of like it doesn't have to be that compartmentalized. It can be both, or it can be
Yeah.
either, or
Yeah.
you know, especially the idea of the mother and the wife, like the choice of words. Even you could have said just woman, or you could have said something else, but mother and the wife, like it's almost thinking about the home, or like the mother in the home, right, rather than just the woman in the office, or you know, it's different.
Or the transition
Nurturing.
altogether.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you can look at it that way as well. The transitioning.
Yeah, multifaceted. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't really pay attention to the, you know, the in betweens and stuff like that. You know, like we always look to the 0, the 10, you know, the 20, but we, you know, where's all the numbers in between? Like we don't really pay attention to it, but they have a significance.
That's
Don't
where
they?
mindfulness comes in.
Yeah, she reminds me every day. It's so good. It's all fun and games, it's all laughter.
No, all that
you know.
spiritual shit just goes out the window when we get home. Oh, you just take the laundry out!
This is where we have our arguments in a political way, you know what I'm saying? Like, we can discuss it.
You guys should start some like
Guys,
comedy
give your
show,
marriage
please.
therapy somewhere else. This is a safe space.
It's all a joke. Like the thing is, like what you was mentioning earlier about like the humor, you know, around and stuff. It's true. It's true. You know, like the humor gives you strength, doesn't it?
Yeah, when
You know,
he gets angry, I laugh. When I get
Yeah,
angry, he
you know,
laughs.
it makes you see that, like, wow, really, this is petty.
And it's
You know,
like, suck it
what
up.
are we doing? You know, like, and when you can laugh it off together, then that's all that
I
matters.
think it's finding a balance, knowing that like it's okay to do both, like, and not feeling, you know, when you're so down. And when I sing, I make people cry, and I always like at the end of my performance, I'm like, oh man, I didn't want to take them to that dark place, but
It might be like
a lot of them say, yeah, well, I actually realised that they're not crying because they're sad, they're crying because they're healing.
They felt,
In
yeah.
a space where and they've been moved, so I think it's just finding that balance.
And they're letting go, you know, letting go. Like, they may have many things bottled up and stuff inside. Yeah, it's that sense of relief, isn't it? You know, when people can, you know, when people can relate to what you're saying and stuff like that. You know? A lot of people don't really, they don't really establish how connected they are to many people. You know, going through the same things they're going through. So, you know, that's what it's about. You know, yeah, just establishing that connection and knowing that you're not alone through it all. You know?
Absolutely.
Do you want to read one more? Or?
If there is time, maybe I can do a shorter
I
one.
think one short one. And one
Let me see what I
conversation,
got.
We gotta get out of this place.
Maybe I'll
Is that the Mr. Beast chocolate?
read something from here
Okay, cool.
that I've done during a workshop. It's like, I don't want to say it's a poem or series of poems, but they're like kind of haiku style / thoughts. Let me see. We did this together actually. It was
Morning
soul, guided souls.
Guided soul.
The small like things. So we've been given like the prompts that is like the title of the small poem, and then just free write on it, and whatever happens, happens. So the first one is called, let me see how long this is. Okay, it's kind of short. The first one is, this is how I learned to say no. I've started to realize the importance of boundaries, self-love and protection. Therefore, I say no to anything that does not align with my peace of mind, vibration, and purpose. I say no to bullshit. The second one is, I hope it lingers. That smell of lavender, rain before the sun, sensation of warmth on my skin, me leaning on you, the déjà vu of events and people met in my life. The third one is growing up a little at a time. Inner child's days, delayed gratification, though, as I grow little by little. Baby steps. I'm a woman, but I don't forget I once used to play. Build me a house and plant me roses. A home for me and for you. Something I've always been dreaming of. And a garden full of colorful roses. Each one of them with different meanings and purposes. Savior lonely. I'd rather alone than lonely. You see, it's lovely to have company, for we are social beings. But we do need alone time to breathe, recalibrate, and recharge. Alone but not lonely. And then the last one is, you cannot have my magic. You can't have my magic if it ends up in a tragic way. I prefer it to arrive with delay than for it to go to waste. However, I'll always keep some of it because I need myself and my energy, and you can't have it that easily. Finished.
There's a lot of like lines that start off those smaller pieces, which like I can see those being amazing prompts. Like plant me roses. Like Friday, plant me roses.
Yes.
And then the other one about you can't have my magic, and I thought that was really powerful as a statement piece for like anyone that's like going through something where like, you know, the relationship's more one way or something like that, or just like someone that's just taking someone for granted. Like, you know, I'm cutting you off. Like, you know what I mean? You're gonna have to. This is premium stuff I'm giving you. You can't. You know.
Premium stuff.
Yeah, there's
I like that.
there's like, you know, there's a paywall now. Like, you know, you got to pay for this now. So yeah, paywall, OnlyFans things.
Oh my God.
Go on, Meta.
Yeah. So it's just basically like, this is not common. The stuff I'm holding for you is not common. It's like, it's premium.
Yeah.
And not anyone can have it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
only a selective few. You know what I mean? So that's what I got from it.
Yeah, that's the message I wanted to give. I wanted to give a message like, look, I'm not perfect. I have my own like things going on. I'm a bit of a mess sometimes, but what I'm giving you, it's special. So if I have to waste this, and if you just take it and then say like, oh, you da 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 da, then I'll take it back. You know, like, I take this, I keep it for myself. That's the message.
That was beautiful.
Made me remember when I was a little bit younger, and you know, you're always giving to society, and there's a time where you realize, raw, like, where's my space? Like, I don't need to give anymore. Like, fuck off. It just made me remember certain times I've asked myself that same question.
Yeah, I think that piece can also be like interpreted as something towards society, not necessarily towards a person. Because society is always like wanting to fucking suck your energy and tell you like, oh, but we are paying you for this. Yeah, but I'm giving you my life's force and my time that is not gonna go back to me. So you actually need me more than I need you. You know what I mean? So if you're treating me like, if you're my manager and you're treating me like an idiot, I'm just gonna quit because I've done it. And it's like, bye, you're not gonna have another employee like me. So it's just not taking like, especially good people for granted, you know, because then when they leave, you're gonna realize that you lost like a good person, you know.
And it's about leaving, especially in a relationship. It's about leaving before they owe you anymore, like, or even an employer. Like, I had to leave a place just because like it just made sense. Because if I stayed trying to get what they owed me, they'd end up owing me more. So if I just leave now, like I can just
cut your losses.
Cut your losses basically. That's just it.
I really liked the one about lavender and rain. I thought that was really, really nice, and it was just some small, simple, like images and words, but it just captured the essence. Like, I'm just imagining the rainfall. Like, I'm just imagining it, and yeah, it was really, really vivid. And I really liked your selection of things that, I don't know what the prompt was, but the selection of things that you want to remember or you want to hold on to or something. Yeah, I really like that.
I hope it lingers. I think it was that one.
I think that's a beautiful prompt. The way that you responded to it was really nice.
Thank you. Yeah, lavender is my favorite smell, like in the world, because I'm very anxious, like extremely anxious. No, I am. Like I don't want to say I am, but yeah, I do. I feel like anxiety sometimes it just takes over me, and I don't want it to take over me. I want it to take over it. So everything that is like soothing, may it be like smells, foods, practices, just
But
take it
anything
all
that
in.
doesn't, if it didn't take over you, you wouldn't get the chance to overtake it.
Yeah, this is what we talked about earlier, like when you feel triggered,
That's just
like
life.
being triggered is good because you understand more things about yourself.
Like when people don't have hangovers in the mornings, they don't know the good days. They don't know what good morning is.
Are you talking about yourself?
No. Like, it's just like a metaphor.
Saying
It
it.
is. It's dog star. It's dog star. You don't dog
Can I get a witness? Can I get a witness?
thank you for the
Yeah,
sound
guys,
effects.
are amazing.
In Dog Star down the road, they do good pizzas, apparently. We went there one time, remember? They had one of those thingies, you know the board that they put outside, and it says Frank Sinatra. You know they have this little
Yeah,
quote.
yeah,
It
yeah.
came from Frank Sinatra. He's the jealous one, not me. So I'm taking it from him.
Always
not
mention Frank
jealous. What's
Sinatra
it?
every
No,
time
he
we're
says
having
it.
this. But Frank Sinatra wouldn't do that. Okay, baby. All right, then. You're taking it there.
Moving on. Okay, keep going. Back to you.
Oh, I thought you were going to go somewhere with
No,
that. Frank
I hit
Sinatra
the
quote.
ball back to you,
Okay.
mate.
Lovely, she get it back to you like me.
I feel like I'm in a fever dream.
Yeah,
This
man.
is so cool. I
You
love
can't
it.
sleep for a few hours, man.
I love
And
it.
then like 3-4
This
hours
is-
sleep.
This hospital is having to go expensive.
Yeah. But does anyone else have anything to say about Federica's poetry?
Just learn it. It's really beautiful.
Thank you. I'm a big fan of small pieces as well. Like I love short poetry, and you say a lot with so little words.
I like the one about being alone but not lonely,
Yeah.
and like carving out that
Mm.
time for yourself. That was really
Without
cool. It
exaggerating.
seemed like a lot of it was about growth, like setting boundaries.
Yeah,
and-
balance, you know.
Yeah. A lot of it was like your journey in growth, you know.
Thank you, guys.
And I think that's it.